you love, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, joined by Mongrovian Mike and our good friend Ezra. What's up, people?
What up?
What's going on?
I am trying to recover from like a week and a half of insane wrestling. Like it's been overload. I don't know how you guys are dealing, but after like a whole week of like go home shows from WWE and TNA, and then we had all the Bloodsport and the GCW stuff all leading up to Mania weekend, and then SmackDown Hall of Fame Mania, which Hall of Fame we did stay up for because we're insane, and then Mania 1 and 2, and then Raw, and then NXT, and holy shit, I'm burned out.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's still a hangover. There's still some of the shows I have to catch up on.
Yeah, it's complete sensory overload.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was, bro. So much.
So I know, like, we all listen to Busted Open, and they've covered a lot of this stuff, like, in depth, so I'm not going to go super deep into Mania, but I want to hit a couple of things. We talked about Bloodsport leading up to the event on our preview show with Andre, and I think it, like, way over-delivered. I thought it was an amazing show. A couple of high points for me came out of that was Natty. Natalya Neidhart had an incredible showing, but more importantly to me was the aftermath with Kenzie Page going into her NWA Crockett Cup appearance. I thought we got to see an edge to Natty. We got, she was cursing in the promos, and like, I love the edge that Bloodsport gave her from a character.
Didn't she come out flipping the bird?
She did. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And she is the low key legend.
And she even responded to Kenzie with that image on social media, which is really cool because that all led into what happened this week. Kenzie drove all the way 10 hours to the dungeon in Tampa, Florida to confront Natty. And then there was a brief interaction there and a beatdown. And I don't know what's going to happen there, but I like the heat. I like the attention that they're giving to that storyline because they could just say, here's an NWA match. Hey, Natty's here. Let's go watch it. But they're really putting some time and like energy into the story and characters for this matchup.
And how exciting is it just overall that WWE is letting their stars go out, because it was Karrion Kross was that night too. Mm-hmm. And there was more. There was more.
Charlie Dempsey and Pete Dunne and oh my God.
And just remembering that show alone, I'd have to go to Ezra because that's the man that will probably has every one of those matches down.
So, like I said, we have a shit ton to cover. But Ezra, to you, like, what were one of the two highlights from Bloodsport that were the things that stuck out to you?
Natty, of course, the edge that Natty brought, that more vicious, mean streak in her that we haven't seen before. We know Natty is good. We know Natty's technically one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet. But when you put her in an environment where she can let loose the true animal inside of her, and she did that against Miyu Yamashita, we saw this side of Natty that is more dangerous, more violent, more just doesn't give a flying fuck what you think and will destroy you. And that's what I put on Kenzie when she put that video out on, like you said, attacking her at the dungeon. I put, I'm a fan of yours, but Natty is going to murder you. Simple as that.
No, the heck with Kenzie, man. She yelled at me at the show that I went to.
Well, Elder, you deserve it.
She was mean to me.
You deserve it, though.
I'm definitely a fan of Kenzie. Like, I used to see Kenzie here in
Crockett Cup coming up. That's where it's going to be too. I mean, you want eyeballs on it? I think you're going to get a lot more eyeballs on it this year.
I agree. Hey, real quick, I want to run out to the chat. I see Chad's in the chat having a conversation with himself, so that's going well. Chad, thanks for watching. Appreciate you, man.
Chad.
And shout out to Todd as well. Todd's our dude. And Deb and I think John are at Atlantic All-Star tonight.
Atlantic
really
All-Star,
cool.
yes.
Yep,
Hey,
which is really cool.
go back on our page and check out our interview with Cade Lothbrock, and I'm hoping and predicting that he becomes the new champion there tonight. It's Dino Biello retirement, Atlantic All-Star, one last ride.
Yeah. So I want to get into a lot of the content from this week, but really a couple of big things that were like main topics that I want to get everybody's perspective on. You know, our good friends over at Bust Open, we're Bust Open Nation members. We're really happy, you know, with all the cool stuff that they did. They did 41 hours of insane content over the weekend of WrestleMania 41. I think I caught most of it, but some of it was a lot.
Yeah.
The holiday party was amazing. A lot of our friends that were out there got to attend the Masters class and the holiday party. I know we had Marks and Neil, Money Mark, Scotty, Trenda. I think that's everybody, right?
Zito from California, who
of course,
proposed
Zito
to
and his fiance.
Yep.
Yep. So they all got to do all that really cool stuff. I saw a lot of pictures
Trenda.
on social media. Yep, I mentioned Trenda, dude. Sheesh.
Nah, she told me to mention her twice. Sorry.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Right.
He's over, brother.
Yeah.
She's double booked.
And you know what? You know what? Let's thank Scotty for the house.
Yes.
Scotty, through the kindness of his own heart, he bought a VIP table, right? Invited all of the nation's corner crew, but also invited on the way up in the elevator or whatever, invited ODB, Chavo Guerrero, ODB and her husband, and Chavo Guerrero.
And Frankie Kazarian. Yeah.
So they were all up in the VIP hanging out and invited them to his VIP where they could hang out. And it was awesome. They, you know, we're really happy for them. You know, our crew is excited whenever anyone else does stuff, you know, and it's really awesome. And, you know, there's so many things coming up. So.
Oh my God, there's a ton of stuff. And yeah, we've had a chance to catch up with a lot of our friends that trickled back into their hometowns from Vegas in various ways. I think Scotty had a red eye, and I think Trenda was driving, and Neil, I don't know if Neil ever made it home.
We haven't heard from Neil yet.
He might still be there. Who's to say?
He's
got a Mike Tyson tattoo across his face now.
But
it sounded like an amazing event. It sounded really, really cool. Everybody had a good time, and everybody made it home safely. So we're looking forward to the next big thing. I know SummerSlam's a thing that a lot of people are talking about doing. I think there's some other events this year that people are gravitating towards. But I did want to mention, so one of the cool things about Busted Open is this platform that they have is the biggest global pro wrestling platform outside of like the actual content creators, right? So they're the biggest pro wrestling talk show in the world. So when they say things, when Dave says things or the hosts say things, people listen. We know that people in the industry are listening. Well, Dave went on a rant about the ending of night 2 of WrestleMania, as he often does when he has some strong opinions about things, and we love Dave. I hope he doesn't, have a stroke one of these days. But of course, they post the video, and this is the response that we see from The Rock. Hi, Dave. Business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. Please join me, Cody, Cena, Brian, and the rest of us for our creative discussions so you can expand your perspective. Until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend. Enjoy the show. P.S. Tell Bubba I have Grand Marnier and Hush Puppies for all of us. So the first part of it's been done to death. Like, we all know people have perspectives on The Rock going on and talking about it's a work. And we know it's a work. We get all that. What I want to focus on is the second sentence, which a lot of people aren't talking about. The second sentence is an invitation from The Rock to Dave to join a creative discussion so he has a better understanding. I don't know. I have no inside information about what's happening here other than I read that and I was like, holy shit, Rock's talking to Dave on social media, and what are we going to see next? So I don't know whether that means Dave's going to be an actual creative meeting, or if that means that maybe someone will come on Busted Open. Maybe the Rock shows up in the Fishbowl interview. I don't know what this means, but I know all of this means The Rock's 400 and something million followers are paying attention to Busted Open, and I'm really happy for everybody there.
So before I ask, I have something. You mentioned something to us last night. In our little gathering.
Kayfabe, brother.
Kayfabe. I want to bring that up, but first I want to say we all heard what Bully said about Dave LaGreca. How many followers does The Rock have?
Over 400 million.
Okay. So this is a guy who doesn't have to pay attention to some little radio host, but last year he responded to him, and this is a guy who built this brand. This guy right there, man, in the pink robe, and Bully. It's not verbatim, but Bully kind of just put Dave over to the moon, and said, here's a guy that started a show that was whatever, a couple hours a week, blah, blah, blah. He rants. He has opinions. He's just a wrestling fan. And he built this brand to where The Rock responded to him. And now The Rock is addressing him, not only The Rock, but he's addressing him on what? That was addressed on the Pat McAfee show, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Which is watched by how many more millions of people? So, to your point, what did you say about about the whole thing with The Rock and Sirius and Busted Open and Dave, and what's your prediction?
I mean, so if you draw a timeline,
I was there. So
okay,
that was.
I mean, the timeline, if you look at it, was last year The Rock. And this isn't behind the scenes because Brian Gewirtz, came on Busted Open and described this whole timeline. But like The Rock said, like, we want to do something, and who should we use in the video? And Brian said, here's Dave and Busted Open, and they're huge, and this would be great. And so they did, and everything went swimmingly. Like, everyone's really happy with that. The fire drill that ensued after that initial post was insane.
One little podcast video of our fearless leader, our dear friend Dave, in his basement, throwing on his wife's robe,
with a Victoria's Secret robe,
Victoria's Secret pink robe, and having that famous rant. The Cody Crybabies came out of it. Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that if we then look at this year, we now have The Rock directly interacting with Dave on social media, and the host responding to the Busted Open post, so responding to the show post. So now that puts a massive spotlight, and I think those videos that they were doing had like 2 million views or something. Like, the videos that they put out are doing massive numbers because of it. I personally think that Busted Open is one of the biggest, if not the biggest social media interaction. Yeah, it's, from a social media perspective, Howard's obviously the biggest, but like, I don't know, Busted Open has to be getting close. Anyway, but I do think that, like, I think that because Shawn Michaels is such a proponent, because Triple H is such a proponent of the show, and all this stuff is happening, we're, as fans listening at home, we're seeing all these really cool things happening. I think this is going to be a big year for them. I think that we're going to see The Rock in the Fishbowl. We might see Triple H do an interview. Triple H is doing interviews with podcasts I've never heard of before. So
exactly.
I mean, this seems like good timing.
These all happen where? That's what I was getting to. You made a prediction. You said The Rock will appear where with Dave?
In the Fishbowl.
That's right. That's sick. I mean, I was there for them doing the show, and it was Drew McIntyre, and no, I mean, Drew McIntyre is a big dude and everything, but can you imagine the hysteria that's crazy that you would only get, I mean, you only fit, there was only about 40 people in there maybe. Okay. But that will,
and only the biggest stars are in there. Only the biggest stars go. Yep.
Exactly. And
that's where Metallica performed. Yeah.
Who do you think will be first, Triple H or The Rock?
I would. So there's 3 names on my brain that I think that we'll see in the fishbowl. There could be fishbowl interviews this year. One is The Rock, one is Triple H, and the other is John Cena. I think John Cena, who has been a guest on Busted Open several times before and was amazing as the previous version of his of himself. Now this version of him would do an incredible interview. Like I think I would love to see something like that. So
I think he could answer all that's clickbait. That's a clickbait question, and then Andre could play. Like after every question, Andre could just do the "what the fuck" drop.
That'd be amazing.
That's a clickbait question. That is bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, Andre needs to do one thing, and that's keep working on putting that I from LaGreca's rant, putting it to Crazy Train by Ozzy. Come on, Andre, get your shit together, bro.
He's the man.
I know.
Andre is the man. He's on top of this shit all the time. Go ahead.
We have to give Andre a big shout out because Andre's a good friend of ours, and he was one of the people that stayed behind to produce all those shows. I mean, he had obviously a lot of help, but like we saw him from like Wednesday until the following Thursday just decline in health. Like he was working long hours every day, and it was insane to watch all the stuff, all the content they're putting out.
He's having to recover just as much as the people that flew out to Vegas.
Yeah, because I think he did After Dark on Tuesday and then crashed, and I think we saw him Thursday or Friday was the next day we saw him because he had slept. He had finally gotten some sleep, but it was insane the amount of content that they put out. So here's where I want to bridge into, because The Rock's comments to me, The Rock is always working. He literally in the post he said it's all a work. So is the post. Everything is a work. And if you listen to Paul Heyman, watch Paul Heyman on the Pat McAfee show, he specifically says everything that they're doing is part of the story. Every frame. He said that on Sam's show last year, but this year he was talking about the new WWE Unreal show, which goes behind the curtains with the writer's room. And Paul Heyman said, well, I can either get on board this train or it can leave without me, but it's going. So he said what he's going to do, or his goal is to figure out the best way to utilize that new medium or that new channel to tell stories, which tells me, okay, that's now also new kayfabe or everything counts or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you guys, like, we see all this stuff and people are complaining, oh, they're pulling the curtain back too much. I think they're pulling the curtain back and giving us a new layer of kayfabe.
Yeah. I'm more mad at I'm madder at the new show coming on where they take you behind the curtain. That I just seen the trailer for it annoyed the hell out of me. But what can I say? I'm old school.
But we also all know that this stuff is written. We know that this stuff is written. I mean, it's not a surprise as long as they're not giving me stuff that's on TV right now. So Ezra, like for you, does it bother you? Like you're a younger fan, obviously you're younger than me. Does it bother you, or how do you feel about them putting this stuff out there?
Sergio out there has heat with WWE. Sorry, okay. Serge. It's all right. There's other stuff. I watch everything. We watch everything. There's so many things we watch. Were we just talking about GCW?
I've watched so much of being committed to a mental institution for watching too much wrestling. So.
Yeah. I mean,
but as far
it's all right. You can hate WWE. That they can take it. I
Yeah. But as far as this new show, I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit weird for me taking that little peek inside the curtain like that because I grew up in the 90s where wrestling was still protected, so it's a little bit weird, but I'm interested in watching and seeing what they give us in the show. Obviously, like you said, it's going to end up being part of the new K thing that's going on right now.
At the end of the day, no matter what happens, these are people that don't. When they're filming Spider-Man, there's a stand-in, there's a stunt, and everything. These are people that are putting their lives in the hands of the other person, and vice versa, and so. Whatever, there's so many injuries and bad things that happen, to sit there and just say oh, it's fake and all that bullshit. Who cares? You know, F you.
Yeah. So go ahead, Ezra. Continue. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I just think that with the show, yes, it does peel back a little bit, and it could make some people, especially the the crowd like my age, elders' age, front row. Some people could find it a little bit, they may not like it, but for me, I'm interested to see what they reveal. Because obviously, like you said, they're not going to reveal current storylines as of this point. This has been taped already. This has been recorded already. So everything is already in the past. Everything has already happened. So it's not like they're revealing anything new to us. So, I mean, there's no point in really getting angry over it because it already happened.
Yeah, to me, it's like the documentaries. Like, if you're going to show me a documentary of WrestleMania or last year's Royal Rumble or whatever, that's all rearview mirror stuff. Like, that's great. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want to know. I don't want to know anything that's going to happen. Like, don't spoil anything for me. Like, I know it's written. I don't
we've
care.
had friends that we have friends that would tell us, well, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing, for the next 3 months, and you were like, no, don't. But anyway, I digress. But the other thing is, there's so many. It's such a cool time. Oh, bye, Ezra. Was Ezra?
Nope, we lost him. He's having some internet issues.
No, so I was going to make the point that it's such a great time. Like, no matter what, I mean, but just at what time were there brand, like the two big brands, AEW and WWE, getting together with all of these other outside companies and just the phrases that people that they're allowed to use in WWE, but even allowed to call it professional wrestling. And yeah, the NWA is actually going to friggin' have something with that. I mean, the talk about that, the Forbidden Door. I mean, look at AEW's with CCML, and they work with New Japan, and WWE's just did that whole thing with AAA, and I mean, it's just so wild, the stuff going on between NXT and TNA, and now you got NWA is going to be in there. I mean, it's just a crazy effing time, isn't it?
It is. It's wild. So, and I got a bunch of stuff I wanted to cover with you guys.
GCW
but just
too. Sorry.
On the partnership era, like on the partnership thing, like, we're starting to see like NWA is working with WWE talent like Natty. During the tapings of the early seasons of NWA Power, we would hear Billy speak, on his desire to have partnerships with different companies. And he always said like WWE would make sense because of his affinity for Triple H and his respect for the business and stuff. And so now we're seeing Triple H, has head of creative, chief content officer. And I think in 2025 is probably the most likely time for WWE to partner with NWA on some level, whether that means there's a transfer of talent or maybe something that looks like TNA. I don't know. But I just think this year we'll see at some point, an NWA talent in a WWE ring somehow.
Yeah. And
okay,
those two, Triple H and Billy Corgan too, are they have a love for NWA in the history of wrestling. I mean,
right.
Forget about it.
So a lot of cool shit happened this week, but I know we don't have time to go over all of it. I'm just going to hit on a couple of things, and then I want to talk about big topics. Stephanie Vaquero showing up on Raw was amazing. She did lose to Io Sky, but I mean, please, that was a dream match. That was amazing. Jey Uso is the world champion, makes me super, super happy. I think that was one of the very big decisions that they made at WrestleMania. But what I wanted to ask you guys about was, so Randy Orton and John Cena now. SmackDown was incredible. The conversation or the promo battle, I hate to call it a battle, but the promos between Cena and Orton. So Ez, I'm going to start with you first. How are you feeling about this current feud?
The 200 match between these guys is going to be the best match ever. No. These two have one of the most prolific feuds in the history of the WWE and of pro wrestling in general. And you can't go wrong with two guys who are awesome on the mic, great in the ring, can tell one hell of a story. And what happened this Friday is another prime example of this story being told between Randy and John. And I mean, just the way Cena went vitriol on Randy in the crowd again, and just his overall presence that Cena has now as a heel is undeniable. The guy is so good at what he does with this character development. Also, too, the one other thing I want, Randy Orton, man, is a son of a bitch. That dude, poor Joe Hendry felt the wrath of the RKO and twice, and then John Cena feels it twice this week, man. John Cena needs to learn to scout that shit. You wrestled him like 100 times. What the hell, bro? But, dude, one of the best segments on SmackDown this year, bar none.
Yeah.
So I know, Mike, I want to ask you because I know this made your heart happy when Cena yelled at that kid. Called that kid out.
I was gonna bring that one up, man. That was great. That was so good. And he's gonna be able to do that, but I'm also fearful of, like, for years people have wanted him to turn heel. Like, all the haters wanted him to turn heel, and that's basically a lot of the reason why they hated on him. You know, and now he did it, so now it's like it's still almost a 50-50, which is why we heard Cody get booed. It was weird. It's so weird. It's like they want you. You're supposed to hate him. He's treating you like shit, and you still. It was like they're battered spouses, and they just keep coming back, and they don't care if he's looking at them and practically, verbally spits in their face, and they're still wearing the Cena shirts and buying his stuff. So
it's crazy because Cena's saying a bunch of stuff that I genuinely believe that he believes.
Yeah,
that he wouldn't say if he wasn't behind a character. Like, he would never go and say that in an interview and stuff like that, because he appreciates the audience. He knows that the wrestling fans are help put him where he is, but the character / John Cena can say, hey, like, this has been 25 years of abuse. I'm fucking sick of you people. And he probably is.
Yeah, really. Just think about it. Just think about it. So think of all the people he meets, like, in Hollywood that don't really know or follow wrestling, but they also they see, what is that? Like, you come out and people are chanting that you suck. Like, how do you take that? Can you imagine, like, a Hollywood star getting booed like that? Like, people chanting you suck for 10 minutes at them. Those
No.
people would crumble. They would be in a mental institution from it.
It's a very short list of people in the last, let's say 5 to 10 years that get genuinely booed. Baron Corbin was one of those guys. MJF, people still appreciate him, and they still believe, but
I appreciate him way more now. But go ahead.
And Dom Mysterio got, like, booed out of every building for the last year and a half. A quick side note for those of you that are watching, go check out Not Sam Wrestling. Sam Roberts did a live event last week, one of his live podcast tapings at Wrestlemania weekend, and his guest was Dom Mysterio, and it's phenomenal. It's kind of in character, there's no line with this guy. He's just amazing. They have a wildly entertaining conversation about chicken nuggets and chicken strips and tendies and all that stuff, and it's fantastic.
That's a testament to your new kayfabe, where they could have, but they could be genuine, but still put that character over and the persona, which is all that we ask, which is because I'm gonna ruin wrestling, right? Is that what John Cena has said about 5 or 6 times already? So what did The Rock do to to me and Dave LaGreca the other day with that comment.
Did he ruin wrestling for you? Or are you gonna watch
No,
this week?
no. In my in Mongrovian, yes. In real life, no.
Okay. You know who did ruin wrestling for somebody? It was poor Pat McAfee getting choked up by Gunther. Like that entire thing was insane. So as I know you're like a sports guy, obviously.
Let's not
Host of the
forget
sports
the
show.
bump. Let's not forget the bump that Michael Cole had to take, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just an announcer. He's not. All right, he could be fit. All right, big deal. He could wake up every day and work out with fucking Drew McIntyre, but that don't mean shit. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's still Gunther.
And it's still Michael fucking Cole. He's a poor guy. I mean, he is undefeated in all of his WrestleMania appearances.
Yeah.
But
Coal miners unite.
So, Ez, where do you think this is leading? Is this Gunther going on a rampage, or is this actually a Gunther Pat McAfee feud, which wouldn't make sense? But
I think this is Gunther going on a rampage. He's still pissed off at the fact he lost the title to Jey Uso. He has nobody to blame. He doesn't blame himself. He can't get to Jey Uso right now. So what does he do? Attack the people that he felt were talking shit about him behind the microphone. And that's Pat and Cole. So
now he's going off the hinges. Yeah, he's losing his mind, right? Because he didn't just lose. He didn't just get he just didn't kick out at 2.5. He tapped out
to his own finish.
To his own move.
Yeah. And Trend is right. Michael Cole wasn't. He's undefeated in WrestleMania, as a matter of fact.
Yes, undefeated in his WrestleMania matches. Yeah.
Correct. So there's all kinds of crazy shit going on. We saw we also saw Braun Breaker align with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, which is interesting because the conversation keeps coming up about whether Paul Heyman is building a new dangerous alliance, which could indicate that he's still shopping for more talent. I personally think that, there's a lot of people saying Becky Lynch would make sense. Sure, 100% she would make sense. But for me personally, I think an OG Paul Heyman girl is Shayna Baszler. And I think that she would make more sense because she is could benefit from similar to what Marina Shafir has benefited from with the Death Riders. I think Shayna being part of that group would be a big, big thing for her.
Yeah, I definitely agree 100%.
I agree that it shouldn't be Becky because, the whole thing with what happened with her and Valkyria, it was strange. I know a lot of people is wonky, but I guess it's setting up something with Bayley because she had to be the one that attacked Bayley.
Okay, so let me ask you.
But then isn't it
Mike,
reminiscent of Jade?
But here's the thing. This is where this all comes into play because in the everything counts era, right? Again, give a shout out to Sam Roberts. Rule 3 of Not Sam Wrestling. Everything counts. We saw a lot of us watch the Chris Van Vliet interview with Bayley, and Bayley was angry. And she says, I'm fucking Bayley. I need to start standing up for myself. And I think there's a lot of top talent who understand the power of these platforms to tell stories. I think we got
Carrying Cross too.
100%. We saw Carrying Cross on.
That's three. That's three where you're going, holy shit! Like people. And if it's to quote that fuck the Rock, if it's a work that Bayley did, she worked us.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of stuff too. The Karrion Kross thing is interesting to me because we saw Karrion Kross and Scarlett come out with Sam and Megan as guests on that post show on the recap show, and he just goes into complete I hate to use his real name, but Kevin mode, and he got pissed. Oh, yeah. And he's like, they put my fucking contract online, and he's like, he's just cursing and all this stuff. He goes off screen, and we're left thinking, okay, the stuff that he said has nothing to do with the storyline that he's in. He's genuinely upset. Mm-hmm. But then I'm thinking, okay, but they left it in there. Not only did they leave it on the YouTube channel, they didn't censor it. So what's real? so here we are sitting here going, okay, we're relatively intelligent fans, some of us, and then we don't know what's real anymore, and it's fantastic. We're seeing Bailey on this interview,
that's the way a lot of us wrestling fans like it. Is just, you know, everything doesn't. We understand, all right. We understand that this guy doesn't want to kill that guy, but they look like they want to kill that guy. Oh, but he set him on fire and did this and that, or what? No, we suspend disbelief. I mean, we all know Spider-Man doesn't, you know, climb the buildings, you know, whatever. Come on.
But if the magic is good enough, so like when we talked about the Seth, when we talked about the Seth and CM Punk storyline, Seth has been talking shit about him for the entire time he was gone. He wasn't even in wrestling at that point.
That might have been one of the original. That might have been the original. You know, everybody thinks it was when KO attacked Cody. What about making sure that you know, hey, have a fit. You know, he had a fit, and it was fan footage. It wasn't WWE footage, which is another great thing. Well, it's because
we don't know.
Well, it's because you know that if something happens that isn't on live TV, and even if it's on live TV, you know, I mean, certain things they piss us off, you know. People gigging themselves, you know. Oh, look at this person's doing that, you know, and they let the fans post it. The infamous hug from the Click.
Right. Yeah, and so like it's interesting that they're using that stuff. Like, oh, this is fan footage? Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's fan footage. Maybe they just filmed it with an iPhone and put it out as fan footage. I don't know. My point is that all these people that saying that there's no storytelling and no kayfabe anymore, there 100% is. It just lives here now. Yeah. It's over here. Pay attention to what's going on over here, because this is what the actual story is.
They're dedicated to working. They're dedicated to getting the smarks, because then the smarks go, oh no, this isn't really what's happening. They want you know, the dirt sheeters and whatever, you know. So
something that I thought was super, super cool, and I'm a big fan of this woman. Seeing Zelina Vega win last night, win the United States title, is really cool. It's her first singles title. She's been in wrestling forever. She's been wrestling for WWE off and on for a long time. And to see her win not only her first singles title in such a high profile match on SmackDown, but to actually also have the same episode where her husband returns to the company, Aleister Black. To me, it was a 1-2 punch. I got emotional both times.
Yeah, it really, really was. Go ahead, Ez. What do you think, bro?
Dude, what a night. I mean, Zelina Vega finally gets, you know, a championship in WWE, something she's been fighting for since day one. You know, starting off as a manager for, you know, Andrade, to now surprising Chelsea Green and holding up that championship. Then you bring back Aleister Black. Not only as Aleister Black, you bring back the old entrants from NXT. You bring back a remix of Root of All Evil's original theme back. He does the old entrance, the roll through into the ring, legs crossed, almost like praying to a higher power. It's amazing. I was in my glory watching Aleister Black return to who he was, and it is. I'm just excited for the future with this guy. He's got a match with The Miz next week after laying him out with the Black Mass. I mean, it was a great night last night. Both times I was happy for both people. You know, so husband and wife both win.
Yeah, it was, you know, and it was for those who don't know, I'm sure people know, but I mean, Zelina Vega's dad worked at the top of the towers. And he died in 9/11 when they went down, and she did, you know, and he was a big WWE fan, and she became a wrestler for him and dedicated, you know. So this whole thing is she's in the WWE. She gets released, gets rehired, comes back. She's the queen of the ring. But now this is really like her character. I mean, under you know, the LWO, you know, under Rey Mysterio's wing. I mean, proving like, hey, you know what? Little Ray Ray could do it for the guys, so could little Zelina do it on the women's side, and she's great, and she's also a great friend of the Busted Open Nation and Dave and all those guys, and we friggin' love her, man. And she's a fellow Boricua. Like, we were so happy, you know, for her in Puerto Rico, you know. So kudos for her, and great seeing Aleister Black back.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of stuff. So I brought this shirt out tonight. This is the shirt that I got at WrestleCade a few years ago when Malachi Black at the time faced Buddy Matthews, and it was honestly one of the best live matches I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of matches. It was like 40-something minutes long. And for those of you guys that saw it on streaming, or if you were there, I know our good friend Steven was there as well. It was a absolutely incredible match, and you saw those guys face each other, you know, in WWE and in AEW as well. But that specific match was just epic. I love watching those two guys work. Their physical style, just the chemistry was amazing.
And credit to Aleister Black. I was gonna say credit to Aleister Black for still selling the eye injury 5 years later.
I know, right? It's amazing.
That is great. And it's like the same thing with Don Callis. Like that scar is never going away. Like, is that wound ever gonna heal? Yeah.
Yeah, and we also saw the debut of Fraxian, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, I think they just recently lost the tag titles to Hank and Tank, right?
Yeah. They've definitely been coming along.
Yeah. I wish I got so overwhelmed with stuff this week, and I still didn't get a chance to watch Stand and Deliver. I have to go back maybe tomorrow and watch it from last weekend. But NXT's crushing it. They're doing all kinds of great stuff.
They are. I mean, there's just you don't even have to, you know, just everyone on that show is just amazing. I mean, Obafemi, and I mean, Trick is you know, Trick Williams, of course, and Noam Dar's back. He has the cup again. He defeated Lexus King for the cup.
Yes,
so it's back in his
Elder.
Yes,
Elder. Don't forget, Oba didn't say his name, but he appeared, and now has a new challenger.
Yep.
So I was gonna bring him up because, okay, so there was a few weeks ago we were talking to somebody who will not be named, who was saying that Joe Hendry is a flash in the pan. He's a meme. He's all these things. Like, he's just gonna come and go. And then we see him show up as Randy Orton's opponent at WrestleMania, and I'm like, I said this a bunch of times. A lot of us saw Joe in front of a couple hundred people at some of the Ring of Honor shows, and now to see all the success that he's having across.
Oh, he got buried at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Okay. Ask him
buried
that.
At WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. Yeah, he's going to be buried in royalty money and he's not even a WWE star yet, and he's getting.
Did you see his shirt was like, I think it was number 2 or number 3,
right?
Number 2
on
the merch site, and he sold out.
Yeah, his shirt sold out on the first run. Then they came out with a second run a few hours later.
Who else has merchandise in 2 different promotions?
Yeah, that's it. Just him, as far as I know. Well, the 2 major promotions, but Ezra's right. They did 2 runs and they both sold out. I saw Joe posted yesterday that they had a handful of smalls left, and then they sold out. Like,
I'm lucky enough to got one of those shirts on the second run.
Oh man, yeah, I completely missed it. If they do a 3rd run, I'll grab one. But I saw Joe's interview with Ariel Helwani, and I saw him on a couple other platforms, and he talked about being on that, you know, being in that conversation about, you know, having that opportunity to go and wrestle Randy, and I don't care. I thought it was awesome. He got some offense in. Not only did he get some offense in, but Randy Orton did his turnaround pose like he did that. He gave him the handshake. He gave him the double RKO. Awesome. And that became a meme that did millions of views. Like that became a GIF rather. Like all of that was just elevated Joe in a huge way.
Yeah. It's a little known fact that the rocket was strapped on Joe Hendry's back the day that Chad from Albany became a fan.
By the way, front row. By the way, front row, you can still purchase his shirt. There's still some available.
Okay, I'll grab one after the show. Because I haven't bought a shirt in a while, but I definitely need a Joe Hendry shirt.
I'm buying Alistair Black's next week.
You know, it's so funny because like John in South Jersey and I saw Joe at WrestleCade in November before like a lot of this stuff really blew up in a big way. And he was just walking around talking to people, super nice guy. Saw him at his table and whatnot. And now, I mean, for Christ's sake, the guy was at WWE World. He had a massive line in his signings. You know, he has a WrestleMania match. He's on TNA. He's on NXT. He's everywhere.
And he did his signing at WrestleCon.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he did
like,
both.
And like it was just like a few weeks ago, people say, "Oh yeah, Joe Hendry's like cool down." I heard people thinking like, "Yeah, what?" Oh well.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. One appearance that I wasn't crazy about, and you guys might feel differently. I for some reason I just didn't click with the Rusev return. Good for him. That's super cool. I thought the placement of him with Otis was weird. I don't know. The crowd sort of didn't react the way that I expected them because we all kind of suspected that he was coming, but I don't know. It just didn't hit for me. I'm happy for him, but I don't know that he was needed. And that's the tough thing that I wanted to ask you guys, because right now, all across WWE and NXT, the talent level is so high. It's really hard to put somebody in there and have them make a big mark.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, this was not the right placement for him. I'm happy he's back. I was a Miro fan, Rusev fan before and WWE. You know, he's big. He's even more jacked and more in shape than ever before. I guess those Celtic Warrior workouts are doing wonders for a good old Mr. Rusev here. Look, it was bad placement. If they would have placed him in a storyline, something more significant, I think there would have been a bigger overall pop and ambiance to him. I just feel like that kind of, I'm not gonna say killed it, but it slowed the momentum for him coming back, because it's Otis. And no offense to Otis, Otis is great. I love Otis. He's one of my favorites. But this was destroying Otis did nothing for him. If he
should have came back and destroyed Travis Scott.
That would have been funny. Travis Scott would have been an interesting placement for him.
Yeah. Like
Elder would have been doing cartwheels like Jack Cartwheel.
Well, because the people are excited for him, but then he comes back, so he's obviously is going to come back a heel, because he attacked two of the most popular people, two guys that never get booed. So
yeah, I guess so. So the other head scratcher for me, and it ended, I guess we can kind of see maybe where this is going to go, but like, okay, so Becky and Lyra, and this whole thing goes back to the Bayley conversation, right? Bayley is supposed to have this match at WrestleMania. She gets injured, the beatdown. They insert Becky Lynch and Lyra. They win the tag titles. Then they immediately lose the tag titles back to Liv and Raquel. Becky beats up Lyra, turning heel. So now we have a heel Becky. It happened very quickly. I have to think that they did the return because they knew she's going to be a babyface. She's going to have a big positive reaction on a return. But then they turned her heel. They had to give her like a night or two, whatever, to return. But it felt weird to me, so I'm going to be interested to see where they go. So, Mike, from you, like, where do you think that they go with Becky next?
Oh, jeez. I'm in the minority because I'm not a big Becky fan at all. And it's not just because every time I face her on 2K25, she kicks my ass. It's not that. But
no sell, brother.
Yeah. No, yeah, she doesn't. You know, I'm a firm believer that she should have never came back still from the end of days that Baron Corbin gave her. So, you know, and then after that, she should have bled out by getting bit by Shayna. She just doesn't sell. She
Ugh.
doesn't sell shit. Why did she come back? Why would her shit could have been saved for like the day after whatever.
What
I
about
know we
you?
were.
Not a fan. I'm in the minority. Sorry.
Look,
I know
I
everybody wants to pop for her stupid song, which is pretty much the same lyrics that her husband's song is. So
for
I'm done.
me. Okay, good. Now go take an old person's nap. You'll be
Yeah.
fine. But
There you go, Serge, buddy. I just ragged on Becky Lynch, so I made Sergio happy.
yeah, there
Boo,
you go.
Becky Lynch.
Boo, this woman. But no. Look, I agree. The overall arc of it was weird. It didn't flow. Why have her win the tag titles and then lose it the next night just to turn her heel? There was no point in even taking the titles off of Liv and Raquel when in the plans probably they already had planned to have them face who was it at NXT, Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. And to me it's head scratching from that point. Like why? And Becky turning heel at so quick after this. I mean, I understand they want to make her a heel, probably go after the women's intercontinental title or whatever, or set her up for something bigger. I really don't know where they're going to go from
Hey,
here.
Ezra,
with
can
her.
we
I
just
mean,
say Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley once again? Just to say it, because I love those two. Okay.
there you go. But yeah. And one other thing I want to get to, one other thing, Furrow, we talked about SmackDown. We forgot to talk about TLC.
Oh,
I am going to get there. Let me just finish this one thought. So,
Okay.
with regards to Becky Lynch, I think I would like to not see her. As I said before, I would like to see Shayna in that position in Paul Heyman's faction, whatever that looks like, because Becky now has the storytelling of Bayley being removed from the match. Like, people know that she was taken out of that match. That's the story. The story isn't what we see on TV. The story is that Bayley was pretty clear about the fact that she was removed from that match. Now she has heat with Becky, who's a bad guy. So now we can have a legit or whatever you want to call it, like a real feud between these two. Bayley's pissed because she came in big leagued her and kicked her out of a WrestleMania spot. There's a story there. So I
yeah,
think that would make more sense.
yeah. Well,
Sorry.
I would. What is the connection with Shayna?
Shayna and the other four horsewomen of MMA were the four horsewomen before they went into WWE. And Paul Heyman has this great picture with the four of them, and they're wearing I'm a Paul Heyman girl shirts. Paul Heyman was calling them the four horsewomen a long time ago, before the WWE people called themselves the four horsewomen.
Oh, so that's her, Marina, Jessamine,
and Ronda.
Ronda, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Paul Heyman was calling them the four horsewomen way before.
Wow.
And then you got the other connection with Braun, which a lot of people were wondering what was that, and that was on an episode of NXT from October of 2023. Braun was in a match in backstage, and Paul was scouting him, and you could tell there was an evil look in his eyes when Braun was standing there warming up in the back, and then he accompanied him to the ring when he had his match. So there's a tie-in over almost 2 years old that tied into this story currently now, which is amazing that you could go back to that, even if it's not totally direct. You could go back to that, play that off, and then put it into what is going on now with this new alliance with Seth, Braun, and Heyman.
Yeah, 100%. So, before we wrap up, I just want to set the table for you, because full disclosure, I was doing family stuff last night. I didn't get to watch SmackDown Live. I did watch it this afternoon. But when it came on, we hang out at night. When it came on to talk to you guys, everyone was excited about SmackDown specifically, and I think Andre said that the TLC match was one of his favorite of all time, like top 3 or top 4, right? So I want to get your perspective on the match.
Dude, just overall one of my favorite TLC matches of all time. Just everything made sense. The spots made sense. There was no glory. Everything flowed. There was room to breathe. There was a lot of things in there that make a great TLC match. And I'm sure that's stuff that Bully is going to bring up on Busted Open on Monday when he comes back. But, I mean...
Well, we're bringing it up first here on the Nation's Corner tonight.
Absolutely.
So,
but,
for the dozens of our fans...
Thank you, Mick. But dude, this match had everything you could want in a TLC match. Just crazy tag team work, insane bumps, selling galore. I mean, that skull and bones through the table was awesome. Definitely the dives to the floor. Poor Shelly, man. He injured his arm on a dive from Montez. Then he hurt his knee on another dive from Montez. Then he gets cracked in the face with a chair. Poor guy needed a massage this morning after that shit. But man, from what I read, this is of course what I saw. Apparently, it was Jamie Noble and somebody else. I can't remember who agented that match and made that work. And dude, what a masterpiece. I mean, it's in one of my top 4 or 5 favorites of all time. And those 6 guys should be proud of themselves for the hard work they put in. And just it's going to be one of the contenders for match of the year.
There were great points, Ezra. There were great ebbs and flows to it. There was no spots. There was no moves for the sake of a move. There was nothing. Every pop was earned, and including the off the cuff ones, where there was the one fan that stole our very own John from South Jersey's gimmick and said, "Use my leg." He had a prosthetic leg that Montez Ford used, but that's something that our own John has had already. I've seen him, and it's been threatened to be used, but now we have to get that out there too. So we'd love to meet that guy, and we'd like to have John and him together, man, meet each other one day. But that's beside the point. The match. The callbacks to TLC 2, the selling, the registering, it's an overview, it's a cliche thing, but this is a pay-per-view quality match. This is a match that there could have been, guys. What do you think? 4 or 5 matches off the top of our heads that we could have taken off of WrestleMania day 1 or 2 and put this match in?
100%. Yeah.
If this match started off WrestleMania day 1 or day 2, day 2 started with the women, but that was a dark horse match because nobody had any steam for that. And it turned out to kick everyone's ass. It turned out to be my favorite match of the night. So
yeah,
anyway,
I do think it's really cool because, like, a lot of us followed Motor City Machine Guns in their pre-WWE careers, and they've had such a long history as tag champions in other places. But now having this opportunity to not only perform in a match with this high profile, but also one that, as you said, is going to be in the record books as one of the greatest ever. It's a pretty big thing for those guys. I mean, they haven't been.
I agree with that too. Do you? This is one of my favorite matches of the year so far, definitely. And like I said, if this match was on a effing pay-per-view, forget about it. We would be talking about it, and we're talking about it now. But I mean, a pay-per-view gives it a different feel, But God, so good.
Yeah. And so before we finish, I want to apologize to folks. Like I said, I've been so overwhelmed with stuff. I didn't get to watch any AEW this week. And I missed like NXT. There's been so much stuff to catch up. I've been trying to catch up on podcasts and other stuff from the weekend, other stuff from the collective. I'm still missing out on Big Gay Brunch. I still have to watch so much shit. I mean, there's so much stuff. And at some point it just becomes like, okay, what's next? You know, tomorrow night we've got LFG and all the A&E stuff. And we've got TNA tomorrow night.
Other news too, bro. How excited are we for we're getting closer to Busted Open 24/7? How excited are we for Natty and who the hell else was it? My old mind.
Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona. That's right. Oh my God.
It's crazy. They keep adding like all this great talent, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't know where they're gonna fit. Like, I don't know where. I'm interested to hear Natty's first show for sure. We've already heard Matt do podcasts, and we've heard him do Busted Open a bunch of times. We know he's going to be great, but I'm going to be interested to see who they pair. Obviously Dave, but maybe else. What other hosts that she'll interact with, because we've been saying it forever, like not forever, but a lot recently that Bishop Dyer is absolutely a fantastic fit for Busted Open. He's been killing it.
Oh, so good.
Absolutely, so good. Man. He's been one of my favorite hosts to listen to. I love his no filter, no BS opinions, but he's also very astute, to the point. He gives a great perspective on especially being in the WWE for as long as he was. He gives a great perspective on these storylines and where he was with certain talent. Now that some of those talent are rising to newer heights, it's very, very interesting. And I'm the Bishop and Bully show that happened just this past week. One of my favorite shows of the week, far none, as far as Busted Open shows. That is amazing. Give a lot of credit to Bishop for, a guy who doesn't, he never had a podcast, never had anything like that. Comes in here, crushes it, and makes it look effortless. I mean, amazing job by Bishop.
Yeah, so two things with Bishop. Years ago, I saw him. I've said this on the show before, but I saw him on Sam Roberts' show. He and Sam were in like a little back room doing an interview together, and he was completely out of character. And I was like, oh my God, I want to hear this guy, more of him. And then he was in Sam's basement at the Not Sam studio not that long ago, where they did like almost like an hour and a half long interview, and it was amazing. But that interview was interesting to me because he talked about his BJJ career, and he talked about all the real combat sports, the stuff that he had done, and
he's legit too, because he just won first place in some jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. No, he's
and
no
he's such
joke.
a
Although
mellow
it was
guy too, man. Like
it was funny.
Everything is just very.
What I like about him too is like Ez was saying, like he's worked a lot with the top guys. He's worked with Roman and Cena and even Rock and all these different people. He did whole programs with Cena. So like now he's able to give the perspective of the people that are in the main storylines on TV right now. He could say, I worked that guy. I know his process, or yep. We got to support this woman in NXT. He had all these friends in NXT. I just love his perspective because he understands it at the granular level.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, it's getting late. I know everybody wants to get over to Collision. I think from what I'm seeing in the chat, it's not on yet. I think there's still some NBA action going on.
Yeah, the NBA playoffs are currently going on right now. They're gonna run about a half hour late.
Oh, okay. Well, it gives you time to get a snack. I'm gonna get a snack.
Yeah.
And maybe some wine and a cigar.
Dinner anyway. I haven't eaten yet, so.
Okay. Well, okay. Full disclosure, I asked Ezra like 10 minutes before the show to join us, so I appreciate you making time in your schedule today. So.
Absolutely, man. Whenever you need me, if I'm available, I'll do it. No problem.
Appreciate you guys. So, Ez, tell everybody where they can find you on the socials and what you got coming up this week.
Deadman469 across most of my socials. You can find me also Our Nation Sports Show, _sports show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Our Nation Sports Show. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time, talking all things in the world of sports, a little bit of wrestling here and there. We're going to be covering the results of the NFL draft this week, so please join us. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be doing some other themed shows coming up too. So go to our socials and look out for that. And then finally, Too Sweet Cosplay, my wrestling themed cosplay group. It's one of my it's thing I've been doing now for almost 10 years. We have a show or a photo shoot meetup coming May 18th at Anime Central in Rosemont, Illinois. It's going to be at the Hyatt Regency McCormick Place, or not McCormick Place, Hyatt Regency O'Hare and the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. We're going to announce the location and the time in the next week or so, so be on the lookout at Too Sweet Cosplay across all socials for any of that.
Yeah, and just on that too, for folks, go back and if you're not following Too Sweet Cosplay, definitely give them a follow on the socials because they were all over C2E2 this year and put out some really, really fun content.
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Mike, how about you?
At Mongrovian Mike. And hey, guys, on the sports show, let's go Mets, baby. It's baseball season. You could do some baseball talk.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that instead of Neil's Yankees just to piss them off.
Ooh.
Yeah, you had to go there.
Wow. Nah, Mongrovian Mike. That's where you can see me. And at local independent shows, there's going to be some coming up. There's a really cool show coming at this place called Lucharitas. Have you ever heard of this chain restaurant? It's a place called Lucharitas, and it's obviously lucha style and Mexican style food, and they're gonna have some independent wrestling there, a whole big rumble. So I'll be filling everyone in on that coming up. It's coming up Sunday, May 4th, and Creative Pro shows are coming up at the end of May. So Victory Pro shows coming up. So I'm psyched. I'm psyched for the independent wrestling scene. Love it.
Nice. And you can find me at PW Front Row on all the socials. You can find us at Nations Corner on X/Twitter and The Nations Corner on all other socials. It is a great time to be a wrestling fan. I always tell everybody I love this timeline that we live in. There's so much cool shit going on. Y'all go out there and have a great weekend, and we will talk to you again next week. Thanks, everyone.
Papa love.